Doing really well. Today we're doing something new and I'm very excited about it. We are making some Puerto Rican empanadas, aka empanadillas or pastelillos. So I'm really excited because we're gonna be trying something new. And also because I'm up out of my chair for once and I'm here standing and walking around and being free, and it's lovely. So anyway, for today's stream, like I said, we're gonna be making some empanadas. So I have all the stuff that I need right back here, but I thought we could get started with me just showing you like everything that's needed for this. So I hope that you guys find this helpful, and feel free to ask any questions along the way or just say hi and chit chat, really however you guys want to go with it. But yeah, we are making some yummy food. It's my first time doing like a cooking stream and I'm excited about that, and I'm using my phone, so hopefully logistics will work out for us. I'm gonna be checking the stream in a second, so hopefully no like echo or anything, but I just want to make sure you can hear me. Yeah, and all like that. Looks pretty okay. Okay, so a little bit of a strange position here, but I wanted to get somewhere where you can see me and see the food and everything. Obviously that's our main priority right now. But before we even get started, I wanted to pour myself a little glass of vino fino. And so for today, we are trying some Franciscan Estate Pinot Noir from California. So this is what we're gonna be drinking. We're gonna be sipping this while cooking. My son is asleep, so that's why I can get away with this. And it's gonna be pretty much like me and my husband eating these empanadas and any that we have left over tomorrow or whatever, we'll reheat. They reheat pretty well, so if you do end up trying this yourself, you can definitely save them, reheat them, and that works out for like the next day. But I'm gonna first start off with our little Pinot Noir in my little funky glass. I love this glass. I don't know, it's not really a wine glass, but I use it for that all the time because it fits like the perfect amount and it's so nice and cute. So cheers to you guys. I hope everyone's having a great week. But yeah, a little cheers is due here. Let me go ahead and just check things for a second. Okay, cool. Thanks for the cheers, Mel. Thank you. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I have everything that I need over here. And that's pretty much just some seasoning, some ground beef. We are doing ground beef, so you could do this with like chicken, you could do this with potato, with cheese, but I'm just gonna be doing like the very classic ground beef recipe. So that's like my favorite. This is what I make like for when my family comes over, for holidays, stuff like that. This is like the perfect go-to recipe. So I thought I would show it for you guys. But yeah, we're gonna get started. So first things first, we need to peel some potatoes. Not the most fun thing, but it's something that needs to get done. I already washed them. I washed my potatoes, my onion. So make sure you wash your potatoes. You need for this recipe, I believe it's about 2 cups of potatoes. For me, that's looking like 2 random ass potatoes, like a medium potato, 2 medium potatoes. But yeah, I guess see how much that takes for you. We're gonna start off with just peeling your potatoes. So easy. So easy. And you don't need to put potatoes in it, but I feel like it makes such a big difference. And most recipes, or like most Puerto Ricans, I feel like, that make empanadillas will be adding little pieces of potato. The trick to that is you want to cut them up really nice and small. Like I said, this was already washed. My hands are already washed. Like, we're all good. I prepped a bit. But yeah, little pieces of potato are such a delight to have in the middle of your little empanadilla. So I recommend adding them. You can also add olives. This recipe does not call for olives in the filling itself, but that's also like a nice addition that you can add in. So you can play around with it a little bit. But we are doing like a classic ground beef recipe for today. So peeling our little potatoes. It's Friday. I'm so excited that it's Friday. I don't know, work has been crazy lately, just busy. It's technically like the end of the quarter, like the business quarter, so things can kind of get a little crazy at my job, but I'm glad it's the weekend. We get some time to just chill out. I'm gonna be just grabbing a large knife. This is not even that large. Maybe I should get a little slightly larger one because I have that bigger potato. Just a chef's knife, and we're gonna cut up our potatoes into smaller pieces. I like to get these really small, so I'm gonna cut it like lengthwise, if that makes sense. So you get like smaller pieces, no big chunks in there. And yeah, you just want them like diced up, essentially. Diced up little potatoes. And it's so funny because anytime I'm like cutting up produce of any kind, my dogs like immediately jump to my side. So that's what's happening right now. They're like beneath me. And I always get so nervous like having knives. Like I cook fairly often, so I'm pretty comfortable with knives. But even so, I feel like my dogs are always so close to me that I'm like, please never drop a knife because I'm so scared of like hurting them. So you'll always hear me like being like, ow, ow, ow. It's when they get too close and I'm like, no, I don't like it. Okay, little pieces of potato. Once these are cut up, just to keep them from browning, I'm going to put them in a bowl of water. So that's like one thing you can do. If you know it's going to be like a minute for you to get like the ground beef and everything else ready before you pop the potatoes in. I just like to cut the potatoes up first, because once you get started, it's like go, go, go. You're going to go from ingredient to ingredient pretty quickly. And so you don't want to take the time to like cut up a potato in the middle of that. Almost done with our potatoes. And if you haven't tried Puerto Rican empanadas, even if you haven't tried them before, I would suggest trying them out. They're so good. And you can make them for pretty cheap. They're delicious. And like pretty much anyone, like if you like ground beef, you'll probably like them. Like I know that sounds so crazy, but it's true. So give them a try. I'm gonna put my hair back. Okay. We have our potatoes, and like I said, I'm going to just pop them in some water. I'm actually going to put them in this bowl that we initially washed them in. I'm just going to rinse this out for a second. So, 1 second. So we're going to put our little potatoes in here, and that way when we need them, we can like drain the water, pop them in with the meat, and it's not like a whole process. We already have a bowl for that. So we just want to cover them with water just so they don't get brown. Oh, potato piece for the dogs. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and just get some water on these. There we go. So we have our potatoes set. They're ready to go whenever we are. And from here, what we can do is get started with our actual recipe. So I do have a recipe, so I can link it for you guys if you're interested. I usually don't use a recipe, to be honest. You don't really need much of one, but there are some pieces that are like universal. So the main thing is you're gonna want a sofrito. So that you can make by yourself, and it freezes really well. So you make like one batch, you're good for like a lot of uses. For any time that you're making like Puerto Rican food, pretty much you'll use sofrito. But if you don't have that, you can also buy it at the store. So that's actually what I have. I think I have some sort of sofrito, but I wasn't sure it's like enough. I like just some little cubes frozen. So just to play it safe, I did buy some, but it is pretty easy to make. So if you're interested, look up a recipe. You can see if your local grocery store also sells it. So I'll show you which one I have. It's pretty good because I'm in the New York area, so there's a lot of like access to things. You can find things pretty easily. And one of those things is also like more ethnic foods, like having sofrito for Puerto Rican food. So I'll show you what that looks like. It smells amazing, but it's essentially like a blend of peppers and some herbs, and it really just makes such a big difference. If you like cilantro, you'll love it. But it's just like a flavor bomb, and you can add it to a lot of different recipes. So I'll show you that in a sec. Don't mind like all of the crazy toddler stuff we have here. Our son goes crazy with the fridge. And here's our sofrito. So it's like a green puree. In this one, let's see, it has onion, garlic, green bell pepper, water, citric acid, salt, bell pepper, red bell pepper, cilantro, coriander. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's gonna be a blend of spices and peppers pretty much. But it makes such a big difference. So we're gonna get that handy. And I'm also gonna cut up an onion. So it's like the next thing. Hey, McTeddy, you're hungry? I'm working on it. I'm slow. I feel like I've already been talking forever, and it's just been like 5 seconds I've been live. How are you today? So I'm gonna cut up this onion. You just need like a really small piece of onion for this. I'm not making a ton. So like half an onion is fine. Actually, the recipe I have doesn't even call for onion. Technically, the sofrito does have some, so you might not need it. But I like to have little baby pieces of onion, just minuscule in there. Now you're perfect. Oh. How was your day? Happy Friday. I was just saying, I'm so glad it's Friday. Work's been like killing me lately. So it feels good to like get a minute. Okay, so we're gonna dice this up really tiny, the onion. Like we want little itty bitty pieces so it doesn't mess with the texture of everything else. You want them to kind of just like disappear into the ground beef mixture that we're making. Okay, so we have our little diced up onion. It's just half of a small onion, so the smallest amount. Life's been killing me lately, so I don't whine. It's hard, man. Okay, so now we're pretty much ready to start with the actual ground beef. So I need to move my camera a little bit. This is where I'm like getting used to things, and it might be a little tricky, but hopefully you can see. You can see like the handle to my microwave. I don't know. Let's move this down. Oh, there we go. You can see the mess I've made. Hello. Okay, so in our frying pan, this might be like the weirdest angle. I don't know. We're gonna go ahead and just turn on the heat. So we're gonna get this heated up for like a minute before we start adding things in. This angle is killing me. Ah! Okay. IRL streams are unique art. Yeah, and I need to get used to them because over here I'm like kneeling down so you can see me. I don't know how people do this. This is hard. But I'm gonna throw some olive oil in here in a second when it gets warm. And yeah, we'll move on from there. We're drinking a little Pinot Noir to celebrate that it's Friday. Thank goodness. Woohoo, yay. Mozzarella, hello. Oh, friendship. I've been good. How are you? Yay for Friday, for real. Life-saving. Alright, so our pan's been heating up for like a minute. It's on medium heat, so that's pretty much what it's gonna stay at. And I don't know how to do this. I'm gonna just prop this up a little bit. Hopefully you can still see my pan, kind of. I'm gonna put in a little bit of olive oil. We're only using it really for the onions, and that's about it. So like a half a tablespoon of olive oil or so. And that's just to really get those onions soft. The rest, like the meat, is gonna have some fat, so we don't need to add in like a ton of grease or anything. They can get kind of greasy, so I like to keep it a little on the not greasy side. You're good. That's good to hear. Yeah, I'm trying something different by doing a cooking stream. I've never done one, and some of the logistics might be a little weird, but we're figuring it out, and it's cool. It's something different. All right, so this is ready for our onions. We're just gonna scoop these up and drop them in. We hear a slight sizzle. And I'm just gonna use like a wooden spoon to toss these around for a minute. It's such a small amount. It really doesn't make a huge difference, but adds just like that touch of like an oniony flavor. We're gonna let those get a little bit of color. So we just want them like translucent, like slightly clear. They don't need to be like browned or caramelized or anything like that. So it should just take a couple of minutes to get these onions where they need to be, and then we can move on with all of the spices. I said this earlier, but pretty much the main thing here, if you're going to try to make really yummy empanadas and you want to make them like Puerto Rican style, the way that you can do that is using sofrito, which is like this delicious puree of bell peppers and onion, pepper, what else? Garlic. A lot of cilantro. That's why it's also green. So yes, it's a delicious mixture. So we're gonna throw some into the mix in a minute, right on top of the onions. We just have some time to kind of kill for a minute. Are you guys doing anything cool this weekend? I've been trying to figure out plans, but it's going to be raining by me pretty much all weekend, so I'm a little bummed out. We'll have to do some indoor stuff, but I'm like so eager to do spring stuff already. It's been too much. Rarely doing anything cool. Yeah. Same. I'm just like, all right, it's gonna be like a very chill at home kind of weekend, which honestly I love. Like I'm such a homebody, so it really doesn't bother me. Looking for work, so money is tight, and I live in the middle of nowhere. Oh yeah, that's rough. I know. Lately I've been like, how can I save some money? Alright, so once these onions are like just a little bit of color, just a little translucent, we're going to go ahead and add in the sofrito, and that's going to like cook for a minute before we move on to like the other spices and the ground beef and everything. Where do you live, McTeddy, if you don't mind me asking, or around where? What does this recipe call for? 1/3 of a cup. Okay, that sounds about right. I'm using a tablespoon, so I'm gonna do like 3 tablespoons, heaping tablespoons. This is not like an exact recipe. You can kind of play with it however you like. So I'm doing 3 heaping tablespoons, mixing that in with the onions so we get some color, and this just cooks for another minute or so. It smells so good. And then once we have this, we also will be adding in a second tomato sauce and our spices. I think that's the order, right? Sofrito and tomato sauce, then meat, then seasoning. Okay, so meat before seasoning, according to the recipe. But yeah, this is one that you can kind of play around with as long as you're putting like all of the things in there. The timing isn't as important. I'm chilling mostly nowadays, just waiting for the water to get warmer so I can go fishing for perch here in Sweden. Wow, that's so cool. Wow, that sounds amazing. I'm by New York, so we have like very, very limited wildlife, adventure, outdoors kind of things. Like, we're near New Jersey, where sometimes, or like upstate New York, where there's some stuff, but it's so, you know, Manhattan, big city oriented, that it's very different. I can never say I've waited for like water to get warmer for fishing. That sounds so cool. That I get. I was in Jersey for a couple of years. Yeah, Jersey's cool. It's cool. It's okay. I'm one of those like New York, yay New York, love New York. I live in Jersey now, and it's like, it kills my soul a little bit to say. So I'm like, I'm a New Yorker. I'm not supposed to be here. But I'm like, damn, I'm not trying to pay like $5,000 in rent. No. Definitely miss seeing humans being in the middle of nowhere. Aww. So you're really out in the sticks then. Okay, I'm gonna add the tomato sauce. For the tomato sauce, this is like a very random thing, but this also gets added to like a ton of Puerto Rican recipes, is Goya tomato sauce. It doesn't need to be Goya brand, there's other ones as well if you don't like Goya. But you do like a third of this can. I'm just gonna eyeball it, but you can also measure it out and do a third of a cup. There we go. It looks so weird. Sometimes just the tomato sauce part. And because we're mixing red and green together, we're gonna get a beautiful brown. It kind of looks straight right now. But once we get everything going, it's gonna not only look good, but smell good, and most importantly, taste good. I always wanted to get to New York, but never made it. Only greenish place I know about in New York is Central Park. Yes. Yeah, I mean, Central Park is amazing, but it's also man-made. So that's kind of like a random thing that, you know, it's like the most beautiful park, and it's supposed to like help you get away from things, and it's also, you know, yeah, man-made things. So it's funny. Okay, this has been cooking for a minute. We're gonna go ahead and add in our ground beef. I just have a pound of ground beef. This is 85/15, so it's a little bit on the leaner side. Like the fat content is a little bit lower. I'm gonna wash my hands real quick. And we can start breaking this up. Pretty much you want this in like small little pieces. You don't want any like giant giant chunks. So we are gonna try to break this up to the best of our ability. My favorite thing about this process is when you get to like the dough and it feels like I'm like, I don't know, making something really special. Even though it's pre-made dough and I'm not making the dough myself. So the ground beef or minced meat is going to be here in the sauce for a minute, and we're going to break it up some more, but we're going to let this get a little bit of color on it. And in the meantime, add in all of our seasonings. So to this whole mixture, we're adding in a thing of sazon. So this is a very unique seasoning. It's like a all-purpose seasoning that's Puerto Rican. And well, it's not just Puerto Rican, like Latin communities enjoy this. It's not the best for you. I think it has like, a lot of sodium or something. But it is just like an all-purpose seasoning, so nothing too crazy. Garlic powder. It has achote, which is like a colorant similar to, what am I thinking of? I don't know. Anyway, so it has some coloring attributes. It makes it kind of a little orangey red, and a lot of like seasoning. So if you can find this, is very inexpensive too. You can just add this in. We're doing 1 packet. And if you're looking for like a healthier sodium-free alternative, you can Google a recipe. I don't know. I'm very lucky. I have 2 mountains outside the door and nature all around me, but close to a big city. That sounds amazing. That's like a dream. That's so cool. Best of both worlds. Okay, I'm just mixing this in a little bit into the ground beef. And we're going to add in the other seasonings. So we also have, we're going to do sazon, adobo. We're going to do a tablespoon. This is another all-purpose seasoning. Why do we have 2? I don't know. But we do. This one has like pepper, again, some salt, and garlic powder, some, what else does this have? Oregano, paprika, turmeric, garlic powder. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a lot of garlic powder, I think. I'm gonna add that in. So 1 tablespoon of that. We're gonna do some cumin. So we need, how much cumin? 2 teaspoons. Gotcha. I have this cumin that I've been like trying to use whenever possible, because I got this in Morocco, which just feels so like land of spices, exotic, cool. And it's this cumin. It just comes in a tub, but it smells so like heavenly. Like it's significantly different from every other cumin that I have had. Like I have that same quality, but it's just like 10 times more intense. It's so good. I'm gonna do 2 teaspoons of that. These are kind of similar to what we would find in like taco seasoning, if that makes sense. So you have a lot of garlic, a lot of onion, you have a lot of cumin. It's that same like very roasty kind of flavor. And then we have oregano, a teaspoon of dried oregano. Also have here. You can use some fresh herbs in some instances. I just don't have like fresh oregano and stuff very often. I don't know who does. So dried oregano it is. And it says you can add a little bit of pepper flakes if you want a slight spice. I like a little bit, like the littlest amount. So we're going to do like 3 shakes. I don't know how much that is. A very small amount. But again, you don't need to do that. So if you don't want spice, just don't add it. And that's it for the seasoning. Oh no, I'm going to add a little bit of black pepper. I like a little extra black pepper. This adobo that I have has a little bit, but I like a dot more. So just doing a little bit of black pepper. There we go. So right now we're just working on the filling, and then we're going to work on the dough. So it's just 2 pieces, 2 parts of the puzzle. It's getting all the filling ready, which takes some time, and then getting the dough and everything filled and put together. We're just going to be breaking up the meat along the way, like every chance I get, I'm just breaking it up a little bit. It looks so good already. It smells amazing. That's from the black pepper. They say if it's not seasoned, if you're not sneezing, it ain't seasoned. That meat looks good, would go with pasta, I think. Yes, it looks similar to like a bolognese, except the flavors are pretty different because you do have like a lot of spices and peppers and stuff like that. So I think that's where it's kind of different. But yeah, it probably, you know, if you took away some of the seasoning, it would probably go so well with a pasta. Or maybe as is. I mean, that could be like a more spicy variation of a pasta. Okay, so it looks pretty good. It's almost cooked through. I'm gonna add a little bit of water because we're gonna add the potatoes to this, and that's gonna cook for a bit. And we just need the potatoes to get soft. So we're gonna have a little bit of like a chit chat time in a minute once these potatoes go in, because it's gonna take a little while for those potatoes to cook fully through. Which is also why I like to make them really tiny so it doesn't take forever for them to cook. So we're gonna just get a measuring cup with some water. I moved stuff around earlier. Just a little mug with some water. I'm gonna do like a quarter of a cup of water, just to have some liquid. That will pretty much disappear, but we want something in there so the potatoes can essentially steam using the liquid from this mixture. If it's already kind of a little bit on the liquidy side, like you've done all the steps and you might have like a fattier meat or something like that, you have some liquid in the pan, you don't need to add water. You can just throw your potatoes right in. So I'm gonna go ahead and get our potatoes. Should have been over here just chilling since we cut them up. And I just had them in some water so they didn't brown. And we're gonna just plop them right in there. And we just want to like break this up a little bit, get them spread across the pan. There's a couple that I didn't cut through fully like a crazy person, so we just want these ready to go. Mix them in. And from here, I'm going to also just cover it. So we're going to take just the lid for this pan, cover it, and we're all set. Yay! Our meat's chilling. So I'm going to set a timer for 10 minutes. I know it's a while. So we can chat a little bit while my food is cooking. And we won't wait that whole time because we need to get started on the dough in a minute. But we have a little bit of time to chit chat. What am I up to this weekend? I said, like, I don't really have too many plans other than streaming a few times. So that's pretty much the plan. And after I cook today, I think I'm going to take like a little bit of a break and then hopefully stream a little bit longer. But we're kind of just playing it by ear. I hope that this is like a cool format. What's different is right now I'm just using my phone. So usually I stream on my computer, I stream over there, and I have my little setup, my webcam and everything. But this is different. I just have my phone on like a little mini tripod right here. So trying to make it so you guys can see stuff is going to be a bit of a challenge. I think it'd be cool if I were to do this again to maybe get like another camera set up. I don't know how people do it. I don't know. I guess a laptop and several cameras. I don't have a laptop other than like my work laptop, so I don't think that will happen, but yeah. Used to stream Just Dance, right? If I remember right. Yes, that's correct. I did. I haven't played Just Dance in a little while, to be honest. Although I do want to try just like getting back into the games. I really did feel like it was such a fun workout and like fun thing to do. I just don't have the space that I used to. Pretty much the room where I was streaming became my son's bedroom. So now it's like I don't have space like that. I'm streaming in the living room, so a little bit of like a switch up, but yeah, we'll see. I do want to play the newer games though. I was watching Florida Woman play like this week throughout the week, and I was like, memories, like, you know. So a little nostalgic about it. I think I'll probably end up playing at some point. I just don't know if I'll stream it. So we'll see. So I'm just keeping an eye on this. I see that it's bubbling very quickly. So just lowered it a little bit to like a medium low. So it doesn't get too crazy, but yeah. You follow her too? She's so cool. She's so sweet. Yeah. She's a good, probably like one of my favorite Just Dancers because she's just extremely sweet. So yeah, that's bubbling away, and then like I said, we'll be doing the dough part, which is pretty cool. It's a pre-made dough, so that makes it so easy for us. It comes frozen. Let me show you. This is how it comes. It comes frozen, and you just get this in like the freezer section of a grocery store, and it's discs of dough. So they're already round, they're ready to go essentially, and all you have to do is like put your filling in, use a little bit of flour, maybe roll them out if you want them a little thinner, and that's it. So it's really easy. They just put layers of like parchment paper, or in this case wax paper, between the layers of dough, and that way it stays like perfect. But yeah, you pretty much just thaw this whenever you need it. So I thawed this last night, and then it's ready now. It's perfect. It's like been in the refrigerator thawing, but you know, still refrigerated obviously, and it's ready to go. So we're like perfect with timing with this. But it does take a little bit of like preemptive thinking. You can't make this on the fly. You need to make sure you're like thawing out your dough, or you're making fresh dough, which is also not too bad. Like I've done it before. It's not so hard to make the dough yourself. Is it thicker than puff pastry? Yeah, it is. It's a bit thicker. And it's not like as flaky. So when you fry it, it gets a little bit more like bubbly instead of flaky, if that makes sense. You can also like air fry it. I think some people do that, or bake them. They just won't have the same consistency. They'll be a little bit like thicker, not as like airy and bubbly, which is all that frying, honestly. But yeah. Pebbles. Please hold. Pebbles. I have my balcony door just like the littlest bit open so I can get some fresh air, and my dog is like, who's that out there? I'll kill him. And I'm like, dude, no one's coming for you. You're a little baby doggy hanging out in the kitchen. What are you gonna do? But in her mind, she is the protector dog, so I can't be mad at that. I can't be mad at that. Too funny. Okay, this has been cooking for a couple minutes. I'm gonna just give it a toss. We're not really done yet. I can feel these are still, you know, hard. They've only been there for a couple minutes. So give them a little toss. There are a few pieces still like stuck together. Oh my god, it smells so good. What breed? I have two dogs, and the one you just heard, she's like a little mix. She's 100% little mutt dog, but she's pretty much a mix of Maltese and Yorkie, and maybe a little bit of poodle. And then I have another dog who's mostly poodle. They just say like a poodle mix, like a miniature poodle. So there's two of them, and they're always hanging out in the kitchen trying to find a crumb that falls. But yeah, so she's just walking around, hanging out with us today. You can't see her, but she's right here, hanging out. You can hear her. Okay, so according to the instructions, this is also to be used with like the frozen dough. It says it takes 3 hours to defrost the dough. So that's not so bad. If you were a little bit last minute, that's pretty good. Another thing it also says, if you're a little bit worried about the dough like expanding or like anything bursting, you can also make sure the mixture is like 100% cooled. I'm not doing that because I'm just going like straight from one thing to the next. I'm also streaming it, but you know, if you were to do this yourself, you might want to take a minute, let the mixture cool down, and then you fill it, and that's probably the better way to do it. So definitely the way to go if you have some time. It's been like 7 minutes so far, so this is almost-ish done for us to get started, at least with the dough. This is so fun though, being in my kitchen for a stream. Very different. It takes some getting used to for sure, but. And I feel like I have stuff everywhere. I was like, damn, my kitchen looks crazy right now. You can see the baby proofing. We have like little hooks everywhere. You're doing good. Thank you. Okay, so this is bubbling away. I think this is going to take a minute. It's going to take a little while. So I'm thinking if we can at least start pressing out some of our dough. I don't know. I wasn't even going to like really press it. I should have thought of this before. Let me see. I need to see if I have my freaking rolling pin is like somewhere down here. Don't mind me getting my rolling pin from a mysterious spot. Okay, my rolling pin. We're just gonna use that to roll out the dough a little thinner. You can use it the way it comes. I just like it like the slightest bit thinner, so you get more of like an airy texture, a little bit bubbly. That's like my I don't know. Everyone has their preferences, so you do you. But I think rolling it out the slightest bit helps. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna just clear our work surface so everything's nice and clean. And we're gonna flour it too. So moving our onion out of the way. All of these peels are going. I'm gonna use the same cutting board though. We didn't have any meat on here. So nothing crazy where we can just apply some flour and flour the surface and use that. Sorry, my garbage is over there, so if you're wondering where I went, that's where. I'm trying to be on top of cleanup as I go, because that's probably the thing I'm like notoriously the worst with is I often can leave stuff like all over the kitchen, and then it just drives me crazy. So trying to save myself some sanity later. Kitchen timer. Perfect. Okay. So we did 10 minutes so far. I'm going to let this continue cooking. I'm just going to give it a quick little toss. But it can continue cooking, and that way we can get our dough started. We're just going to be cooking it until the potatoes are soft. So once they're soft, you can turn off the heat or, just take them off the burner. And that way that this will start to cool down a little bit. Like I said, you don't need it completely cool to put it into the dough, but ideally a little cooled is perfect. Okay, I'm going to put these seasonings away. Whistle while you work, clean up while you work. Okay, cool. Removing like any oils that might be on here, because I did put down my spoon, which is kind of silly. And let's toss this knife in the wash. Okay, so you have a clean work surface. Now we can just grab like a tablespoon of flour our board. I'm going to be just working on this small board space. If you need more space, you can use like a counter that's been disinfected. Just make sure that it's like a flat, clean space that won't be prone to like things sticking to it. So you are working with some flouring dough. So just a little bit of flour. And I'm also going to flour my rolling pin just a little bit. Just dusting. Okay, cool. So now we have our surface and our rolling pin floured. We're going to close this up. And we also just need a really small bowl with some water. And that's to help seal in the ends of the dough once we have it ready. So just a small little dish with some water. Perfect. This is so different to see me in the kitchen walking around. You see like all of me almost. And over here like always just chilling with my hoodie on. Treats for the dogs. Thank you. Thank you, mozzarella. Okay, let's see what we have. They haven't had like a good treat most of the day. They just had like a dental treat this morning. Because I had a feeling I was going to stream and I'm like, treats for later. So we're giving them a good tiny bone, busy bone. They love these. And almost immediately, as you can see, there are 2 hungry dogs. Let me see if I can move the camera without like injuring myself or something else. We have 2 hungry doggies right here. Oh, someone come over here. Sit. Good job. Good job. Thank you. Thank you so much for redeeming that. That's so sweet. They love it. I love it. Okay, I'm gonna go wash my hands now because I touched those treats and that's all I can smell. All I smell is little doggy treats. Alright, so this is cooking away. Let me make sure you guys can see the little pan over here. There we go. Meat mixture here. So we're going to get started with our dough. So very easy. It's like ready to go dough. Similar to puff pastry where you can just buy it, you know, and it's ready. And I can't figure out how to open it. They changed the packaging on these recently. It used to be like a flat little package. But anyway, just peel this open. Oh my god, what the hell do they do? I might have to cut it. It's sealed strangely in the corner. It's like impossible to pull this up, or maybe I'm just really weak, but I'm just gonna grab a knife because I'm gonna use the whole thing anyway, so pop it open. In Sweden, we give our dogs dried pig ears. Is that in America too? Sometimes, I've done pig ears in the past a few times, yeah. I haven't gotten them in a while, but there's also, I think it's pig knees as well that come in like a little ball. So people, yeah, there's definitely treats that are like more actual bones of animals. I think, I don't know, it's a mix because sometimes I think certain bones can splinter, so people can be a little bit like careful for that reason, is like certain things. But pig ears, there's no bone, it's just like dried skin essentially, so that's a good one as like an alternative to like a traditional bone. Okay, I'm gonna roll this out. I'm just gonna get like a few of these started, like 3 of them started, so that when we do have our mixture ready, we can like right off the bat fill some and get some started quickly. We're essentially gonna like shallow pan fry them, so a little bit of oil into the pan that we fry in. I'm just grabbing another cutting board, and this is going to be the one where I put all of the dough that's ready to go. So this is one, just slightly thinner. Want to make sure you have a layer of flour in between them, or you can use like the separator that the discs come in, the dough comes in. I'm going to smash one of these. Just like a little piece of plastic. And our next disc. What is underneath my finger that's like not flat? And we just want them roughly the same size. They should be because they came from like the same source, but when you roll them out, just kind of be a little mindful of that. Thank you, Mel, for catching that. I'm like looking at the chat right when you did that. Thank you. Okay, rolling out one more, and then we're gonna get started with actually like starting to fry these up and making them. So I'm gonna move this to my burner that you can't see. So the meat mixture is gonna keep going for like a minute. I think the potatoes are soft. Let's test those out. That's the important part. Ooh, big thing of steam comes out. Let's test out these potatoes. Yes, they are extremely soft. So this is perfect. This is ready to go. I'm gonna just taste a little bit of the mixture along with the potato, just to make sure the seasoning doesn't need any adjustment. So trying to follow the ways of like normal people and chefs who taste along the way. So good. Oh, so delicious. Okay, that is perfect. I'm not gonna make any adjustments. It doesn't need any more salt. I think that's usually the thing that you might find yourself needing to add, because I don't really add salt aside from, I mean, there's already like seasoning mixes that have salt, so you definitely don't want to add any before, but now would be the time to check for salt. Okay, so that is perfect. We're turning off the heat, and I'm going to get my pan with my oil started in a second. So I'm just going to transfer this over to a, what do you call it? A little trivet. Use like 2 trivets. We're just using this little trivet combo to save our counters. And I'm gonna just put this pan with the filling and everything right here. Oh my god, it's so heavy. My pans are like no joke. These are freaking heavy pans. I mean, there's a lot of meat in there too, so there's that. And here I'm gonna replace the pan we just had with a pan with oil. And I'm just gonna be frying 2 at a time. You can do more, but I'm using a really small, like little frying pan because I don't like to use a ton of oil. So to still shallow fry without using a ton of oil, we're gonna kind of cheat the system and use a smaller pan. So you need about like 1/4 of an inch of oil. I'm gonna be using corn oil, but you can also use canola oil. pretty much any neutral oil that doesn't have like a really strong flavor is perfect. So I wouldn't use like olive oil or avocado oil. Like those kind of have like, they're meant for different things, but yeah. Add our oil in, and we're gonna wait like a minute for this to get warm. That was the last of my corn oil. I don't use corn oil for like anything, so this was I've had that there for a while. It's like finally I'm using my corn oil, so there we go. So we're waiting for this to get hot, and as soon as it does, we can get started. So in the meantime, what we're going to do is take a sip of wine, and then we're gonna get our filling into the pastry. Okay. So other than water and our dough, we also need a fork. And the fork is to press the edges. So I think that's the easiest way to do it. Some people use like pressers for that, but you know, a fork does wonders. So I would recommend that. We're gonna get a little disc. And here's where you wanna fill it where you're not being a cheapo, but don't fill it so much that it's like bursting at the seams. So I'm gonna take like 2 heaping spoonfuls of our mixture. Make sure we get a little potato and meat kind of mixed throughout. I don't like these to be greasy, so I avoid any of the grease that's in the pan. There's really not too much because we did choose like a leaner ground beef, but yeah, if you find there's a lot of fat, I would just avoid it because sometimes it can cause it to kind of bust open while it's frying, so definitely don't want that. We're going to take our little container of water and just run our finger into it and around the edge. We're pretty much just making like a little pocket here. This is so similar to like sometimes how people do like wontons or dumplings. I mean, they're all like, culturally there's so much that can be like shared between cultures. And so this is a great example, right? Like wontons and dumplings are not so far from an empanada, to be honest. And then we're going to just press it shut, really making sure all of the contents is concentrated in the middle here. We're going to get our fork in the water as well and press on both sides. I think there's like a theory that it doesn't really matter if you press on both sides or not. You can just do one side. But I am paranoid, so I always do 2 sides because people have told me that that's how they open up while you're frying them. And that's like a disaster I don't want to deal with. So I'm going to press both sides. And you really want to focus on the corners especially. So if you need to go over it twice, that's fine too. But you want to make sure that you have enough of like a crust around the edges from the filling so it doesn't seep out and it's nice and secure. And there we have it. We have our beauty. Our little empanada. So cute! Wait, let me bring this closer so you guys can see how it looks. My little empanada is so cute. It's ready to go. So we're gonna pop it into the hot oil. This has been going for a couple minutes now, so it should be hot enough where, yes, perfect. We're seeing little bubbles pop up. It's not like burning hot where everything's gonna turn black in 1 second. That's perfect. We're gonna grab some more into our next empanada. So from here, it's just repeat. Like, this is not too bad. It's a pretty easy process. From here, we're repeating. We're getting another spoonful of mixture, some potatoes, some meat, wetting the edge, and then pressing it all together. Nice. We're making progress. And I'll show you how cute it looks. I also need to get, right after we get these 2 in here, I need to get a plate ready for these to dry on. Not dry, but you know, you want them to like sit for a minute, cool down, and also remove any excess oil. Our next little one, I put a little less filling in here. This one looks pretty full, but yeah, you can play around with it, just see what works for you. What do I have? Somewhere I have tongs. 1 second. Here we go. Whenever I need something that I can't find it. So I'm going to just flip this first one over because it's been a minute. And check it out. It has a little bit of color. Just a little bit. We'll leave it for another minute. So you just want to keep a close eye on these because they can burn like so quickly, especially if your oil ends up being too hot. Right now this is perfect where it has like little bubbles but not like too much going on. Let me move the camera so you guys can see a little bit better. But yeah, there's a little bit, there's a little bubbling action, but it's not completely crazy. So that's perfect. I need to just grab a plate. I realize that where I have my plates is like right behind the camera. Why did I do this to myself? You know what, I'm gonna use a cutting board instead. We were like queen of the cutting boards today. We're gonna use a separate cutting board for these to dry on just until I have better access to everything. This is a Maya problem. So now let's check that first one again. I already see some browning on the edges, so I'm pretty sure it's good. Yes. So this is the kind of color that you're looking for. It's like golden brown. I would lift it, but it might bust. So, but a little golden brown, as you can imagine, is like perfect. Kind of like the color of a French fry. I don't know. I'm trying to compare it to things. And at that point, you can flip, and it should be good. It should be like sturdy enough. And the filling is already cooked, so you don't have to worry about the filling, which is nice. You just need to make sure that the dough is fully cooked. The worst thing ever would be to eat like raw dough doing this, so you have to be a little bit careful about that. Okay, cool. Damn, I have like flour on my shirt. And I didn't even realize, yeah. One of the casualties to making a delicious meal sometimes is your clothing, so my bad. I probably should have worn like a normal outfit, but whatever. Okay, we're gonna check the other side of this one. Golden brown, just like you want. And this one's almost done. The first one is almost completely done. They start to move pretty quickly. So let's continue making some more of the dough and the discs, completing them, filling them. There's still a good layer of flour here, so we shouldn't need any more. But we might need some in a minute. Oh, maybe we did need some more. A little bit of sticking. Definitely keep your bag of flour handy just in case, so you can touch things up and get some more when you need it. Let's check on these and see how they look. Oh, it looks so good. Okay, this one's like borderline gonna burn. So that one's definitely done. And this one is 2. I think I need a little bit more oil in here. So I did use all of that corn oil. I'm gonna add a little canola oil to the mix. Just to make sure that we have enough. So we're gonna let that sit for a minute, and in the meantime, fill some more empanadillas. So you hear empanadas, I think that's the most used term for like these types of things. Because that's like mainly in Latin America what a lot of people call them. But in the Caribbean, you'll hear a lot of different things. So this is more similar, I think, in a lot of ways, almost like a beef patty. Because a lot of empanadas tend to be baked, and these are fried. And they're a lot like thinner, crispier. But yeah, if you hear empanada, it can mean a lot. Like in Puerto Rico, they don't really call them empanadas. They say empanadilla, pastelillo. So there's so many different terms, but it's so interesting to see how similar things can be sometimes across cultures. Like I said earlier, it's almost like a dumpling can sometimes be, you know, similar to like an empanada. So it all just depends, but every culture has like its nuances and its specific things that like makes it authentic. Like for an empanadilla or empanada, sofrito is probably one of the things for like the classic Puerto Rican version is like necessary, and without it, it's just like an empanada. So yeah, but I love these. These are so good. People in Puerto Rico eat these as like a snack, or sometimes even like for breakfast. These can be really big because they're just like an easy to go kind of food. So people eat them in the morning, like, you know, with their cup of coffee, they'll have an empanadilla. And to be honest, like, I feel like that's so strange, but it's also a lot healthier than a lot of options that we have in the U.S. too. So it's kind of funny that we think of it as like, that's so strange, like this meat dish for breakfast. But there's a lot of cultures that have like more meat heavy dishes for breakfast. And now that I'm like not a little kid thinking like, no, breakfast means eggs kind of mentality, I've definitely opened up to that idea a lot more. But yeah, in Puerto Rico, empanadilla, or sometimes they do like taco de carne, those are all a lot of times like snack or breakfast. So people have them like after school or before school, after work. It's just like a very easy to go food where you can just grab it and go. And they're inexpensive, so that helps too. A lot of people buy these from like street carts. There's some places that will specialize in just like empanadillas. If you're by the water, like you're along the beach, you'll find a lot of places that do seafood. So they can be done in a ton of different ways. Ooh, that was hot. I'm gonna lower my oil's going crazy. I left that oil alone for too long. Try not to do that. So yeah, keep your eye on your oil, keep your eye on the pastry to make sure everything's okay. But other than that, this isn't too hard. It's just getting the ingredients put together and then, yeah, just frying them along. We're going to have to keep a really close eye on this one because it's so hot, the oil, that it can really burn. So that's another thing. Like I said earlier, it's probably one of the hardest things is to make sure they don't burn, because you have to really be like keeping a close eye. You have to be here. You can't walk away for like a second. Okay, this one's done. We're plopping it in. Let's turn this one over. Beautiful though. We're gonna have a whole batch. So in this container in the dough container comes 10 like pre-measured discs. So that's what we're working with. And honestly, I think we have more meat mixture than we're going to be able to use, which is fine. You can use this. You can have it along with rice. It's called like picadillo. So you can have like the same meat mixture along with white rice is really delicious. And then you can do like a side of veggies or whatever you want. But this is like, yes, very much like a classic side as well. Or like a meat dish for your main. I'm being a little aggressive right now because I'm like, I don't want these to burn. I gotta hurry up. Okay, perfect. Let's check on these before. Okay, no, they're fine. I lowered the heat perfectly, so no worries there. How do I have flour all over me? I watched a YouTube channel about a different school food from different countries in Europe that some Americans tried, and they were very shocked about the food you get in schools in Europe. You know, the food in the U.S. really isn't great. I went to both like a Catholic school and a public school. So Catholic being like a form of private. And there is a difference between the two, but both, like, none of them were nutritious or good options. So that was kind of crazy. Like, even the more bougie private school was like the foods that they would make like a soup. Okay, that's fine, whatever, soup. And they would make like one main, but it was always the most random stuff. Like, it would sometimes be things like chicken nuggets, and you're like, why? And then sometimes it was like 2 Italian ladies that would be cooking, and sometimes it would be like amazing Italian food. But that was very rare. But aside from that, it would often be like these like ready to go foods that are just like void of nutrition. You know, like frozen foods. Like, why are we doing that for nutrition for children? And then public school, where it was like very mass produced. It wasn't to people. It was like, you know, whole corporation. That was worse. It was like you would get meatball subs and that bad pizza that you hear about from like public. That stuff is very true. That was exactly how my school lunch experience was. Just like that really bad frozen food essentially that they're serving children, with very few vegetables or fruits, and that was it. So yeah, school lunch in the US isn't great. I think that's one thing that like I just don't understand why we don't prioritize it as a country, because it's so important and it's just completely neglected. Like, it's just not great. The best I ever had was like, I will say, when I was, not the best, but I guess one of the good components was like in my again, this is private school, like in my private Catholic school, they did usually have like a salad bar, which would have like salads obviously, but also like fruits and vegetables. So that was a better option. They had it, but it still wasn't like super nutritious. It was like you're getting, you know, baby carrots with like the best you could hope for. I think they're starting to get better across some school systems, but it's really dependent on how like progressive they are. But like I said, it's mind-boggling to me that we don't think that that's important as a nation. But, you know, they're removing funding from schools altogether, so I guess it shouldn't be a surprise. But yeah, it's unfortunate. And I've seen so many of those same types of YouTube videos of like Korean school lunch versus American school lunch and things like that, and it's just so fascinating. It's interesting as hell to see the comparisons, because you realize like how other schools can do it. Like, I think one of the most impressive was in Japan, how extremely nutritious, and how not only is it nutritious, but they also have their students help like in the process and learning about how is the food grown and how can they serve people, what's the proper way to eat, all of those things that aren't even touched remotely in the US. I have a link to the video you want to watch sometime. Yeah, send it my way. You could send it in a whisper, or I think it might, I don't know if I don't think I have a link blocker on the chat, but if you want to send it through directly, I'll totally watch it. That's the kind of stuff I watch. My YouTube is like, I watch so much YouTube, and so I feel like it's a very special place where I try to keep a good balance going. Like, I want my algorithm to be in my favor, so I try to watch. I'm a little bit picky about like what I'll click on sometimes, because I don't want to have like it recommend a bunch of garbage to me. But that's exactly the kind of stuff I watch. I watch like, what's it like in Japan? You know how many Japanese videos I get recommended? It's insane. But yeah, across the countries, I love watching that kind of thing. Thank you. Thanks for sending it over. I'll definitely take a look. We're almost done, which means we get to eat soon. And then I'm going to take a break and stream some games. Oh, this one's a little burnt. Okay, this is why you need to keep an eye on things, because it's not burnt, but it's a little on the extra golden crispy side. I'll show you what we have so far. And you'll be like, yeah, girl, that looks crazy. As you can see, here is our plate of empanadillas. These all look accurate. This one's a little busted. This one's a little hurt. Let's just look at this side because it's pretty. Oh, how beautiful. Delicious. Oh my goodness. You want to wait at least like 5 to 10 minutes after frying these to then eat them, because they're piping hot, as you can imagine. So like this one is probably ready to eat now, like the very first one that we fried off. The rest of them, they're just going to be like burning in the center. So be careful with any fried food, I guess, is kind of the same like that. But yeah. Let me throw in this one. Looks good. Thank you. I'm hopeful it will taste good. I said this earlier, but I'm cooking 10 of them. And me and my husband are going to have a few tonight. But you can heat these up and like save them for later. My recommendation for that is try to have some that are a little less fried, like just slightly golden brown, and toast them, because the microwave will ruin them. So they're not going to be 100% the same. It's best to really have these fresh, but if you are going to reheat them, that's kind of the process. You can also like make them up, have them ready to go, like just like this one right here. It's ready to be fried, but instead of frying it, you can wrap it in plastic wrap, and that's another way to like preserve the dough so it doesn't get like hard and disgusting. And then you can fry it off like the next day. But you can't really prepare these more than 1 day in advance. It's just not possible. So, you know, I could have these tomorrow, but after that, it's kind of like tough luck. Like, that's just what it is. This wine is so good. I for some reason lately I've been like on a beer kick, so not that I drink like too much, but when I was pregnant, like I didn't drink obviously that whole time, and then I didn't drink for like maybe 6 months after I gave birth, because I was just being like a little careful, and I didn't feel the need to. I was just like, whatever, I'm busy with other stuff. But red wine was one of the things I probably was like actually craving when I was pregnant. I had no like pregnancy cravings, pretty much. Like maybe milk. That was like the one thing. Like I really wanted dairy, which is strange because I never want dairy. But dairy and red wine were the only things I ever craved. Okay, these are almost done. Oh, this one's good. You can also like sit these up a little bit, like if you ever find that the dough underneath, this one's fine, super golden, but if it was ever like rawish, you can move them around as well in the oil. try to save the rest of the dough to be used tomorrow. Because I'm like, how should I? I'll just fry it all. I'm like, would that make sense or would it make it more of a pain later? I don't know. I'll just fry it. I'm here already. Stop being lazy, Maya. We have so much more meat than I needed. I would say if you're going to do 10 of these, you probably only need like half a pound of meat. Because I have a full pound here and it's like, it's a little extreme. I had some Coronas yesterday. It's my favorite sure. Coronas. Wow. I never had Coronas. Barely ever. Once in a blue. I do like it with the lime though. Like, you know how they do it at bars and stuff? I like that. For some reason, I don't really have Corona too much. Maybe it's because in my mind it's like a more, I don't know, tropical drink. It's like a beachside drink in my mind. I gotta check these in a second. Please don't burn. Ooh, this one's a little extra crispy brown. They cook so quickly. So yeah, you do gotta keep an eye on these. But we're almost done with all 10, which is crazy. Just pop in the one we just made. And then we get to have a bite of these. That's the best part, the most fun part is I'll have one on stream with you guys. We'll share a bite. And then we'll be able to hang out a little later. I think tonight I'm going to play some more Sonic. I don't know, I've been on a retro kick lately. I don't know what the direction for my stream is, but I've been really liking some retro games lately. Let me see it tossed. There we go. I think we have just one left. That was so quick. Like, this process isn't quick. It's been, what, like 2 hours? No, an hour and a half of me streaming. So that's how long it's going to take. It's like an hour and a half, 2 hours. But I swear it's worth it. I know it seems like a lot, especially just for like a snack, but you can make them ahead of time, like I said, and you can also like save them, and they're so tasty. And there's really no other way around it if you aren't near like a restaurant or something that makes these. I was actually in Puerto Rico a couple months ago. Is it a couple months ago? In February, at the end of February. So a month ago. And I had so many of these, but ground beef is like basic. Like over there, I had literally like pulpo, which is squid, and there's shark, and there's all types of things like they'll fry up, you know, across the region, depending where you are, different seafood combinations and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. But ground beef is a classic, and you'll find that a lot everywhere too. Okay, we made our last little one, and now we just need to fry these up, and then we get to enjoy. Grab this out of here. I feel like I have like 3 sweaters I'm always wearing on stream. There's so much flour on me. This is one of them. I need to do some new outfits. You guys won't see me. I'm like such a little house mouse, so that's part of it. We're done with this. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and start cleaning up a little bit. We'll have a bite together. But that was so fun. So glad I tried this out. I need to try this again, but maybe figure out the logistics of the camera a little bit better. There's flour everywhere. For sure, it was cool. Yay! I'm glad you think so. Just trying to switch it up a little. I have a bunch of plantains here. I also need to cook up. Right now would have been smart to do, but I'm just not feeling up frying some more right now. So we'll leave it like that. I'll probably make those tomorrow. We have so much meat mixture left, so yes, I would say for 10 of these, you would only need like half a pound of meat. I don't know what the recipe I was referencing was thinking. It's too much. Or maybe I put too little meat. Maybe these are like skimpy little empanadillas, but to me they were like jam-packed. I don't know how you could fit that much more in there. So, I don't know. Okay, we still got like a couple minutes left on these. This one's done though. And these are a big plate of empanadas. To store them, I'm just gonna put them in like silicone. It's pretty much like a Ziploc bag, so you can use a Ziploc. I just have like a silicone version that I use so I don't have to buy plastic ones all the time. But yeah, anything like that, a little plastic baggie, even a Pyrex container with a lid that's like nice and secure, that works. And then you can reheat them in the microwave or in a toaster oven would be my preference if you can, without burning it. But yeah, these are so yummy for like, yeah, as a snack, or you can have them as a meal too. I would say it's a little on the light side for a meal, but like breakfast or lunch, it's perfect. And yeah, you can pair it along with some fruit or the little veggies. A smoothie is always like classic in Puerto Rico, is like a smoothie and an empanadilla. So a lot of people have like fruit smoothies and one of these, and that's like a breakfast. So you can play around with it, but I like to just have these as like a snack from time to time. And that's how we're having it right now. Our last one is done. We turn off the heat and just move this for now. And I'm gonna grab the first one we made, I think. It's somewhere under here. And we're gonna have that. So I'll show you guys that in a second. We'll have our bite. I really didn't think this through, so some of the logistics here are a little wonky, but glad that you're here with me anyway. I have to grab a plate. one back here. Okay, so let's grab our first little empanadilla. Maybe this one? No. Is it this one? You know what, we're just gonna grab one. Here is our little empanadilla. So typically you just have it like this. You can also have like different salsas or like hot sauce or anything like that. For hot sauce, a lot of times it's like these very vinegar based hot sauces, which sounds kind of crazy, but it works out perfectly for dishes like these that have higher fat contents, because it's able to like counteract that fatty flavor and fatty profile. Okay, so yeah, let's go ahead and take a bite and I'll show you guys what it looks like. So crunchy, as you can hear. We have a lot of potatoes. You can see off the bat there's like a good amount of potato in there. I love the little potatoes. They're like the best part. And that's what it looks like. It's pretty jam-packed in there. Like I said, I didn't make skimpy empanadillas. Maybe you can stuff a little bit more in there, but I feel like this was pretty generous. Like it's not empty in there. So tasty. So these were definitely a win. Yay. So thank you for hanging out with me. I'm gonna go ahead, take a little bit of a break, and then we're gonna be streaming some retro later tonight. So I will see you then. What time is it right now? It's 10 o'clock. So we're gonna be streaming like now-ish. In like a little bit. I'm gonna take like a little break. And yeah, hope to see you there. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thank you so much. What's up, Bella? Really appreciate seeing you and catching up after such a long time. It's good to see you. All right, have a good night if I don't see you later. But yeah, thank you for hanging out. Bye.